to his brother's hand. The family spoke of what was felt as some sort of force and a tingling vibe running through their bodies before their car coasted to a stop off to the right side of the road. Then, a cluster of lights appeared in the woods off to the left of the car, which veered off the road and rolled to a stop next to some railroad tracks. The nighttime insects, in full late summer chorus just moments before, went quiet, just as they had before Tom and Matt's second alleged alien encounter in weird year 1967. Tom could hear gravel pinging against the undercarriage of the car as the tires left the pavement. It was like a barometric change in pressure, Tom says, like being in the middle of a hurricane. We all had this weird feeling, dead calm, didn't hear a breeze. It was just silent and still, and then all of a sudden there was a rush of crickets and katydids, and we all had a very weird memory of what had taken place. Nancy now sat in the passenger seat, and their grandmother was outside, wandering in the road. Tom got her back in the car, and their mother took the wheel again. Tom had fragmented recollections of what had took place after the station wagon stopped him before he awoke. He remembers being in what seemed like a big, dark hangar and walking towards a figure engulfed in light at the far end of it. He remembers white walls, narrow corridors, and doors. He remembers a hand grabbing his arm and leading him down a passageway and being under a body encompassing chamber or cylinder or rod and crying out for one another. I added the rod. But now, long after that incident, Nancy sold the farm. I don't think we'll ever feel safe there again, she says, and they all resettled in Connecticut. Many have asked how the beings appeared, and there has been a lot of speculation on the terminology. Tom has described the beings which were witnessed as being a genetically engineered or manufactured intelligent insect-type being with some human characteristics, such as hands. This is an insect with hands.
Oh, no.
That's horrifying.
Okay, I just have to pause and say that. All right, I'll get to it. This is an insect being with hands, and it's got insect feet and like a weird torso, and I'll go back to it. It has such as hands that would stand on 2 feet and vary from 3 feet to 5 feet in height. After their return to the vehicle, the family experienced a period of disorientation, where it was said that the car was facing a different location than when it had come to a stop earlier. Thomas ran to his grandmother, who was wandering aimlessly in the middle of the road. Granny! Nancy, cataleptic in the passenger seat, but had been driving earlier. Matthew was unconscious in the fetal position in the back seat. This is a horror show. Several of Tom's childhood sketches from 1969, depicting what he witnessed firsthand involving his encounters, are displayed at the Roswell UFO Museum. Tom was not the only child to draw renderings, as many of the children penciled what they had seen, which had also hung next to Tom's beneath the chalkboard in his 4th grade classroom. So yeah, this is 4th grade for Tom. You get to sketch your insane UFO encounter. This is the big one for them. This is 69. This is what this whole story is known for, is this.
Right. Well, I guess it's the best year it could happen, and people are going to remember it more. I would have had a harder time remembering any of this if we didn't have the 69 mark on it.
69 is an easy one to remember because you know what that means.
Do the old nasty.
Nice.
Oh, right. Oh, God, that's not even what I was thinking of. All right, that's very perverted, Rob.
But the incident also happened. It also happened on Labor Day. So that whole summer of '69 thing, isn't Labor Day like the official end of summer? It's like the summer of '69 is over. We are gonna go mess with some people in Sheffield, Massachusetts, in 1969. And yes, that's the story. That this family has a very like distinct UFO almost abduction kind of event. What do y'all think of it?
Yeah, I mean, it's scary. It's the fact that it's happened over several years. That's telling, and that they each have experienced it too. It wasn't just one of them. It was corroborated. There was
Granny's in the
like
road,
multi-generational. Well, she could have been in the road for a myriad reasons. She's, getting up in her years. She's kind of aimless in most of her endeavors these days.
Well, then why? But the mom is.
But the mom
was driving.
She's been the baller of this whole situation. So yeah,
she was. But you heard it in there. She got so scared that she sold off the horse farm. They end up leaving here because of this. Because
they sold the farm.
And man, think about it. You're a kid, and for 2 years, you get to ride horses around your thing, and then you move, and that's it. No more horses.
Shit.
Right?
That'd be so goodbye horses. And then to have even 2 years of that is pretty magical. But yeah, that's kind of a big thing to have. That's like the dream that most people would want to end up at. So if you have to sell it because of this shit, it's probably pretty real.
Yeah, imagine going back to a bicycle after that. That would suck.
It's better
better
to have horsed than lost than to never have horsed at all.
I don't know. I think bicycles are a little bit more reliable because the last time I rode a horse, it led me into a bunch of thistles, and that hurt. Thanks, Domino.
You got to talk to my boy
shit.
Ramtha. Ramtha will hook you up. You can get a good steed.
My black horse.
You think that's it, and you think maybe some people do know the story better than us. Are we? We're not saying we know everything. I just think it's weird that. I'm saying it now. This story is considered historic and one of the biggest UFO cases, but I feel like this is not on.
Well, Russ, why do you say it's historic? I mean, every encounter is historic because it'll be in history, right?
No way. There's only a few that you consider historic, and for somehow this one is. And now I'm getting annoyed at them, so I want to read. And I'll get to it. There's more. There's one more big encounter, right? Like I said, multi-generational. It happened in the 60s. Happened in the 60s again. And then it's like the moon landing. It happened 4 times. And then we're going to do it. Then we're going to do it 50 years later. So I want to talk about the last one, all right? You remember the little Matt? Remember the little kid in the backseat of the car in the fetal position?
Oh, yeah. Little fetal Matt, of course.
How could you forget about him?
Yeah, you can't forget about him. It seems like the other Reed is trying to build himself up a little bit more. Tom Reed, he's kind of He's the older brother. Matt's the little one. But I'll read the last story on this so we can get into this. On March 30th, 2009, Matthew Reed has what he described as an up-close extraterrestrial encounter outside of Brownsburg, Indiana. When Matthew Reed came to, he's always passing out in the fetal position. He was climbing into the driver's seat of his Chevy Blazer. Blood painted the steering wheel in small red dots. He realized that his nose was bleeding, and his shoes were caked with mud. The Blazer sat in the grass on the shoulder of a country road. From what he could tell, his truck had veered off of the asphalt and then rolled to a stop at the edge of a field. It wasn't running. In the distance, he could see the tops of trees, a black silhouette against a gray night sky, and beyond that, the twinkling porch lights of encroaching subdivisions. He heard the key still in the ignition, and the engine started. Matt had been driving through the suburbs west of Indianapolis to his home in Brownsburg. He had picked up a friend. Yes, Brownsburg, all right? It's a respectable town. He had picked up a friend earlier in the evening, all right? He has friends. And the two had gone to see a movie in nearby Avon. The Watchmen, he thinks. Hey, he's going to see Watchmen. Now you love him, Rob?
Good movie.
That's a good movie. I mean, it's pretty good.
Cheers.
And this part isn't gay at all, but they were both single, and Matt's mother was living with him after his divorce. Neither man drank. Catching movies together got them out of the house. So let's just let them know that's the only reason they're together. The last Matt remembered, he had just dropped off his friend after leaving the movie, a little after 10:30. As he drove through the darkness, an orange ball of light appeared over the road ahead, shot off to the south, lickety-split, and dipped behind a house. Then he was climbing back into a parked vehicle with a bloody nose. Wait, what? Muddy shoes?
What?
And a strange sensation of time unaccounted for? He had been roofied. No, he looked down at his watch. The hands were frozen near 10:30 p.m., but the LED numerals in a little window on the watch's face showed that it was after midnight, some 90 minutes later. Matt pulled back onto the road, floored it, and threw a stop sign, and sped the remaining 2 miles to his house. He's going so far. He found his mother in a chair in her room. He had set her up that way after... No, he hadn't. Watching television. Matt's becoming a real creep to me. He found his mother in a chair in her room, watching television, totally alive. He sat down on the edge of the bed. He seemed confused, frightened. "Mom," he said, "I think it's starting again." And that, as far as we know, those are the major events in the Reed family life of UFO ones. And what do you think of the great story about Matt's date to go see Watchmen and getting roofied?
I think it ended better than most roofied dates end up. And I think, well, it's not good that he came out of it with that accent, because it's strange for a boy from Arizona, California, Massachusetts to have that accent. But you never know what's going to happen with a roofie. But he didn't get, anally probed. So when?
We don't know.
I mean,
we don't know that.
I was going to say, we
don't know.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Living in Brownsburg, up to all kind of stuff. It's supposed to be another remarkable, event in their life, but of all of them, it just seems like, other ones, you had their family. And I'll be fair. The 1969 case that I described there, that was a pretty big event. It was, they owned a diner at the time. Remember them saying that the mom opened a diner in town, and they claimed that was kind of the hub. We're going to hear that. That's the kind of the hub of the town. And when this event happened, and they saw that event where Granny's just strolling down the road and mom switched seats and Matt's in a fetal position, and they don't know what's going on. Other people cited that event. It was a UFO event. It is pretty famous, and now there's no pictures, but it's just well documented that all these people reported it. That this case is a big deal in ufology. I'm not going to take away from it.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of people reported it, sure, but what part of that makes it historic then, Russ? Because people have reported on lots of the same sightings, and those don't get the same accolades, and they don't get the word historic attached to their stories.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out too. I don't know really what the deal is, but all in all, it's a very interesting story. And if you want to hear more in-depth information about this, that's not a problem, because Thomas Reed, the guy Tommy we're talking about, over the years, he has become the public face of these incidents, and he has been featured on so many paranormal programs. Programs like Uncovering Aliens, Mysterious World TV, Alien Mysteries, New England Legends, and of course, well, get those clips ready, Rob. Wake up. You've been slacking this whole time. Let's hear, because of course he went on the only one that we actually care about here. Let's hear the intro for the one we really care about.
This New Jersey pond really swimming pool.
If he doesn't like you, he'll suck you down to hell.
Plus, the Dread Central Report. It came from the internet. And our ambush interview of the week. Join Aaron Sagers and his team of reporters as they travel the country hunting down stories of the paranormal.
No comment at this point.
On Paranormal Paparazzi.
Oh boy!
Yeah, they're back.
Oh, yes, hell yeah!
It's the show that has PP, and the initials of the show are PP. So this is PP on PP.
Awesome.
And some of the footage is remarkable.
There we go. And yeah, now we're going to hear a segment. Yeah, the Reed, the new Reed, not Jonathan Reed. Don't worry, this guy never has any instances of
throwing up and filling my pants.
That's not happening here.
We don't know that that's true. He just didn't announce it.
His brother might. His brother clearly might. But I want to hear this segment. So yeah, here's Tom Reed being featured on PP, Paranormal Paparazzi.
Okay, people, I know you've all been researching stories of the unexplained, but I actually want to start with one that goes back half a century. Brandon.
So this story I covered, I went to Knoxville, Tennessee, and I probably covered one of the more peculiar stories of multiple lifetimes.
Lots of people claim to have seen a UFO. Our reporter traveled to Tennessee to get to the bottom of the story.
And we've heard stories that your family has been, let's say the word subject, to a number of inexplicable events.
Well, we had a horse farm back in Massachusetts in the early 60s, and there were a series of accounts that involved UFOs, I guess, a tabloid term, but my brother and I actually had seen them more than once, and actually at one point boarded one. We saw what looked like a silhouette, a glowing image almost like a ghostly figure. The ground beneath us changed, and we went from a staircase to a field. And at that point, we started walking into this entrance area. There was this craft that looked like a huge turtle shell. My family kind of was tight-lipped about it, and it became more of a investigated behind the scenes and was taken to the UN in 1992, and after that we were pretty quiet about it for several years.
I can see the reasonings why he does what he does. He's got a mission to show the world what happened.